So now the crank module's been detected. So what's the crank module? The crank module plugs in here. You can unplug it, and it's this thing here, and it looks like an electric motor with some circuitry added to it, which is exactly what it is. It's pretty easy to get hold of. These are about £15. They're robot motors. It's an electric motor with like a reduction gearbox in it, and you can hear it's got nylon gears, so it's reasonably quiet. But if you spin it, I don't know if you can hear that. If you spin it, it generates a voltage. So basically your Organistrum knows when the crank handle is being turned. So if I, hang on, I spin it. See, it gives you pretty good control. So if you attach a handle to that, you've then got a way of it knowing that you're cranking. So what I'm going to do is give you a long shaft with a handle on the end, 2 bearings, a connector that joins to this, and I would suggest you might want to put make like a wooden wheel like on the real Organistrum with a felt pad that rubs it, and I can give you my felt pad mechanism, but you may want to make your own. It only has to rub it quite lightly because it's just replicating the resistance of the strings. So you'll have your rod, sort of bearing, crank handle, turn the handle, this is on the end of it, and then about here you might mount a wheel. I'll give you like a flange connector that you can mount a wheel on, and I say it's just a friction wheel. And you can have it sticking out to the top of your Organistrum, which will make it look more realistic. So I'll just sort those parts out for you, but basically it's pretty much ready to send now, I would suggest. I mean, I'll just give it a final test in a couple of days, but you know, all in all, it's good. So, and I've made this so if this ever wore out, it might do eventually. You've basically got to unsolder that wire and that wire, and buy a new one on eBay and just solder it back on. And to make it more convenient, I've put a plug there, so you can just unplug it from the circuit board as well. Right, so here we are. Here's the end of the crank handle. These are proper bearings, and then the knob is a tight push fit over the bearings. If you wanted to change the knob, you just pull really hard, and that will come off. This is steel, not aluminium, so it will bend, but you have to put a lot of pressure onto it. This is like a pillow block bearing, so you can just mount that to a panel. It's adjustable. These little grub screws here, they are 1.5mm. There, same this end. So that can be mounted anywhere you want. You can slide it up and down the rod. On the end of it is a flexible connector joint. You see them in 3D printers. See, it's got a tiny bit of give in it. There. And this end is 6mm diameter. So that connects to the motor, which we're using as like a dynamo. And the locking grub screws for that are 2mm. Sorry, is that right? Yeah, 2mm. Then halfway down, again adjustable, is a flange there, and the grub screws again are 2mm. So I would suggest you mount your wooden wheel to that. Now on my Gerdies, just show you the setup. Underneath the wooden wheel is this structure. So basically you put a bolt through that hole, and there's room there for the nut and a washer if you had a bulkhead here. And then using a guitar tuner, one of these here, the cable is pulled up. It's actually a badminton string. It's pulled up so it pivots on this end. It's pulled up, and then the felt pad rubs against the wheel, which is here, and by turning the guitar tuner, which is in the top of the deck, you apply tension to it. If your wheel isn't perfectly circular, it'll compensate slightly because there's a tension spring built in there. You could use a kind of stretchy nylon string instead. So it applies slight friction to the wheel. So I mean, you could obviously make something like that out of wood, but I'll send you that anyway. It's up to you if you use it or not then. I'll put the knob on for you here. So then you should have everything you need to build something that looks reasonably convincing as an Organistrum.